Yo, what is up, everybody? It wouldn't be right if Foots had a live stream. He wasn't about 4 to 5 minutes late. We want to let the numbers get in here. How you guys doing today? Joe Rodriguez is joining the channel. We got a really interesting one for you today. We're gonna go over camp battles, and we're gonna kind of give you guys a primer on camp battles and certain battles that you guys need to look forward to. And this is going to be fun. But before we do that, Joe, we haven't spoken in a while. Obviously, we go hard throughout the draft season, and then now we're here. Joe, how are you doing?
It's good, bro. We're navigating through the dead season right now. Not much going on. We're just hoping that there's no off-field issues from our players, and so far so good. Fingers crossed. Looking good, man. Looking good.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's always with the Cowboys. That's definitely always a um, mm, that's always a you don't want any issues there. You don't want any issues there because it's just something about this team and just we went a string of maybe 3 to 4 years where it was something, wasn't it, Joe? Zeke and
We do know the law.
yeah, right.
I remember like when we went through the whole Zeke thing, everybody was a lawyer. Oh, regional, we're
Yeah,
gonna do this and that. that was a hell of
yeah,
an off season, but hopefully no more of that. You know.
yeah. I think that they and it's interesting because you know, you don't remember the whole thing about drafting certain players, Joe. Garrett had his guys, which
Yeah,
were
Garrett
he
guy.
he wanted to draft doctors and guys who
Yeah.
rescued kittens out of trees and so
Mm.
that was just interesting. But Joe, it's always good to talk to you. More so, more or less than just a football analyst. Always just a great friend. And the good thing about it when me and Joe get together, and I see the chats are coming in slow, guys. So if we don't get to everybody, I think it might be some of my connection. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you all can hear me? Um, Give me a thumbs up if you all can hear me. Um, but um, we want to jump into camp battles, and I put this on Twitter, and I really want to give Joe some high level thought into some of these battles. Now, the truth is, the team was what were we 12-4 last year, Joe. Um, you won a playoff game, and then obviously things didn't go the way that you wanted them to in the San Francisco game. But the team in the roster is actually really good. So when we say camp battles, we're going to be hard pressed to find quote unquote battles for starting positions. Would you agree, Joe?
Yeah. Unless we're talking about someone that departed and there's a clear opening there. Yeah, you're right. You're right. For this hard pressed.
Yeah. So you're hard pressed to find those type of battles. But, and we'll get into this one. I'll give you an example. A lot of people had hope for Kelvin Joseph. I hate to toot our horn, but me and Joe were two of the first people to tell you guys. Kentucky coaches said this, LSU coaches said this. Kelvin Joseph is who he is. 3 years into his NFL career, Kelvin Joseph still is who he is. He has a lot of potential, but he hasn't maxed it because why, Joe? There's always something, right? You
Yeah.
don't know how much he knows and loves the game. Um, and so that's one of those that's like, we were right. And he's somebody who I'm looking at when it comes to cornerback four. Like if there's an injury, I don't know who's going to be your edge corner, Joe, because I don't think it would be Kelvin Joseph because I don't
Yeah.
think that they trust Kelvin Joseph. That's why they went out and signed Stephon Gilmore. So that's some of the type battles that we'll be talking about today, Joe. You know, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in right on in. So the first battle I asked for your guys' tweets and I asked for you all to kind of give me what battles were you all looking at and continue to put them in the chat box, guys, because we'll touch as many as we can. But the first one that I want to talk about, Joe, is linebacker. And it's the one that, and I'm going to just set this up, Joe, and I'm going to let you talk about it. It's the one that I've really been sleeping on. So you bring LVE back, who, so you remember we went down to the draft and covered LVE's draft.
Mhm.
When he was drafted, we thought that they were going to go somewhere else. They drafted LVE. He comes in, has a great rookie year, and then we've kind of been waiting for that rookie year to reoccur. However, he has played good football, and that's why the Cowboys brought him back. I went back and watched the San Fran game, and LVE actually had a good game against San Fran. So, but who's the backer next to him? Is it Jabril Cox? Is it Damone Clark? Is it DeMarvin Overshown? Is there a dark horse? Joe, what are your thoughts, high level? Chat box, what are your thoughts, high level?
I think it's going to be a rotational thing. As far as like who the third guy is, different packages for different guys. So you may see some packages with Damone Clark. You may see some with Overshown, depending on what the coverage is going to be. Are they going to need a guy who needs to cover a tight end, or are
Yeah,
they going to need a guy who's just going to go in, hit the gaps, try to stop the running game? So you know. Clark, I mean, Overshown, they're definitely different types of linebackers. Clark to me is a physical linebacker, um, almost more of a traditional type of linebacker to me. And I think I think he would be in the driver's seat, to be quite honest. Cowboys,
Clark,
yeah,
correct,
Clark,
Joe.
they've
Yeah,
always been very loyal with seniority. You know what I mean? Here in Dallas, it's always made a difference. It's always been something here for Dallas. Like, oh, you got to beat out the senior guy if you really are going to be somebody. So he'll get the shot, but you got guys in the waiting. You know what I mean? You got guys that want to get on the field. And you mentioned Jabril Cox. Year two after the cover, this is it for him. We
yeah,
definitely got to see something here. He looked very promising, man.
yeah,
Very promising. I really liked what I saw pre-injury. He was ascending,
yeah.
along with Micah, same year. So I hope we get to see a little bit more of that from him, man.
And Joe, to me, I would love to piggyback on what you just said. So I went back and I've been watching these games, and I'm not halfway through because I the way I watch film, I go back and stop and start and the whole nine. So when I'm watching these games and I'm watching the film, everybody is, the D line was the reason that the run game was so bad,
Hmm.
and it was at times. But when you watch the Green Bay game and you're watching, Green Bay run the ball on us, um, and Green Bay has some good backs, right? But you're watching them. There were times where you're watching the linebackers play a tick slow, right? You're watching the linebackers play a tick slow. Now, that's not to say that because again, Damone Clark didn't have an offseason. So I want to give him that benefit of the doubt. Um, but I just think that, as we get through this year, linebacker depth is actually kind of, dare I say, scary, Joe, because I mean, who if Damone Clark goes down and Jabril Cox doesn't show that he's next, and let's say uh, for any reason, not even Damone Clark, let's say LV, who's injury prone or has had injuries in the past, probably why he has never really reached a consistent Pro Bowl level, because if he's healthy and he's moving around correctly, he's playing well, right? But it's when he's not, and you could, like, we used to say this all the time, Joe. Me and Joe, if you've been following us, he's playing football like his neck hurts when he's not healthy,
Yeah.
right? And then he plays football when he's playing good football. He's playing when he can play physical. I mean, the Green Bay game, the San Francisco game, he's flying downhill. He's physical, Joe. He's giving all that, right?
Oh yeah.
But if one of those guys get hurt, I mean, Devin Harper, I like Devin Harper. He's done some nice things in preseason, but who, right, Joe? And then Overshown, I mean, you drafted him on a whim of Dan Quinn putting him in a good position. I think, me personally, I think that Overshown is uh, Curse's replacement. He's that role because he has that safety background. Joe, that's one of those positions that because I'll never forget, like I said, I'm watching the Green Bay game. I'm watching Aaron Jones just run through the defense. And some of that was D line play, but then some of that was linebacker play as well. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, it's definitely something that they wanted to address in this draft. Shoring it up with Mozzie Smith in the first, and getting some players that had run support in their background,
Right.
right? So a lot of these guys that they drafted, that's kind of what their bread and butter was, and then pass rush along the way. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I really like that. It's something that they really needed to focus on. I mean, right now it seems like it's like the '90s Cowboys 49ers rivalry. We know
Yeah.
we know we're going to be in it. We're going to see them again.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the player that puts them over the top? In the '90s, it was Dion. We got him. We went back to the bowl. So and we took Charles Haley from them, and you know what I mean. So it's almost like we're at that point in this rivalry where it's one or two players that put the team over the top. And so far, the 49ers have had our number the last two times.
Yeah.
Hopefully, from what we've done here in the offseason in the draft, we're catching up and surpass them. So we'll
Yeah,
see, man.
and I'll be honest, some of that too is Joe. Um, Dallas had caught some bad breaks. Tony Pollard getting hurt, bad break. I'm gonna tell you, I haven't, and that's why the Niners game hurt me so bad. And I don't hate Dak Prescott, but I don't think that he played good football. No matter how you want to twist it, I'm not. You guys know on this channel, you get real from me. I think Dak Prescott is an outstanding quarterback, outstanding leader. You can win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. That's not the question. The question is, did he play bad in that game? And he did. And and I know Tony Pollard got hurt, and that's fine, but he still played bad. And I think the thing that bothers me is your defense did play good, Joe. The
Yeah.
line, like we're talking about Leighton Vanders, he did play physical. He did come downhill. And I think that was a bad break without Tony Pollard. I think they've covered themselves with enough juice with getting Cooks and all that type of stuff. So that linebacker room is going to be interesting, Joe, because if there is one weakness on his defense, like I think the D line is going to work itself out because those guys are slotted how they are. We'll talk about
Mhm.
defensive end and maybe three tech behind because Mozzie is going to start this year. Make no mistake about it. You brought Mozzie in for a reason, right? So he's going to start. I think Hankins is going to get significant minutes because you want him in the middle. So Osa and Neville is one that we're going to get to in a second. But like I said, Joe,
Yeah.
linebacker is interesting. It's interesting. And I'll tell you this. I said maybe Overshown won't be ready, but then there's a chance that Overshown could overtake a player's position if he comes in and he flies around. He has that freakish length like he does. So that's one of those ones. I want to give a shout out to Drew Marsh. I want to give a shout out to April, Donnell, everybody in here. Thank you guys. Midday right before July 4th, showing us love. Keep the shout outs coming. We love you all. Drew is all the way in Canada, so that is really awesome. And thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. We can't thank you enough. All right, Joe. Somebody that Joe has this is why, again, follow Joe, shout him out. He's really on top of things when it comes to getting a temperature of the vibe. Neville Gallimore. Joe, how does he get on the field? Let's talk about it. I mean, they brought in Fayoko to play some three. Neville was a 1, was a 3. Now you have 2-0-1 techniques who are going to play. Hankins and Mozzie Smith are going to play. So now Neville's going to have to battle with Osa. Joe, how does Neville Gallimore play? Does he how? Like they want a different type of play. This is what we were saying last year about.
Yeah.
This is what we said last year about Tristan Hill too, Joe. And like people told us,
Mhm.
oh, he's coming along. He's not on the team anymore. So
Yeah.
how does Neville throw Bohanna in there? Those three, that's a sneaky battle, Joe. Talk about it.
Um, I covered this early in the offseason as one of my top 5 bubble players, and Novell Gallimore is in my list.
Woo!
I feel like
Joe.
he's gonna have to be showing something for another team. I really don't think he makes this team. I think they like what they like in Bohanna. Um, he doesn't have a sponsor in the room anymore, obviously. So it's it's going to be hard pressed. There was rumors that they wanted to move him last year. He was even deactivated a game or two last season. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I've always believed in that. And then the play. Where are the plays at? One play here and there, but that's not going to cut it here. We got to have more from the defensive tackles, and Will McClay's job is to replace you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they re-signed Hankins, they brought in Mozzie, and I think they like the development of Osa from year 1 to 2. Here we go with year 3. I think you're going to see another bump up from Osa. You mentioned the rookie for Hoko. We also have Golston in the mix, who they like there.
Golston is a sneaky one, Joe, who I've
Yeah,
really liked.
yeah,
His film, Joe, I love the way he plays the run. He's very long in his punch and the way that he presses, Joe. It's very it's a player that played with the Colts that was really tall, because Golston's kind of tall too. I forget his name. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, Joe. My bad.
no, but yeah, I mean, so as we're listing all these names here, to me, I feel like all these names are better than what Neville is.
Yeah,
I would even take Bohanna over
Neville.
Neville if it came
Yeah.
down to keeping a player on the roster. I'm probably keeping Bohanna. So I think for Neville, he's got to really show out, but he's probably going to be playing for another team. He's got to show some tape for another team. I just don't see him making it.
And that's just how fast things move in the NFL, because I think that the truth of the matter is, Neville had opportunities. There were times you question the shape. There were times you question was he a scheme fit, and at a point, that's just, we love you, but our job is to replace you.
Yeah.
And I think that we see a trend with what Dallas wants at 3-1. They want guys who play the run but are still physical and quick enough to get upfield, high motor guys. And I don't think that that's really Neville Gallimore's strong suit. There are just too many times his fit just isn't what it's supposed to be. And I like what this is really good. This is really good insight, and this is a good comment, John. This is good stuff. This is what we need in the chat box. Good stuff, buddy. He got some bad advice when they told him to put weight on, and it ruined him. And maybe that is it, because when you're playing a 3-tech, it's funny when they tell guys to put on weight, because what kind of weight? Because Mozzie Smith's body is his body. So his weight is probably good weight. He hasn't lost much twitch, and he's also stronger than those guys. Like Mozzie right now already has NFL strength. Already.
Yeah.
Right, Joe? Like that's
yeah.
one of his strong. He was
Yeah.
on Bruce Feldman's freak list last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's somebody who I follow well when it comes to college football, and freaks.
go.
He was at the top of that board.
You got it.
He was at the top of that board when it
Number
comes
one.
to the freak list. So
Yep.
his body is his body. You got to be careful with being told or putting on weight, and no, because you want to be on shape. Because I always had questions about Neville's shape, Joe. I did, and it showed in games. Getting pushed around, can't fight off a double team. The truth of the matter is that's what Philly is doing. They're double teaming. They're doing all those types of things. And we, as a 3-tech and a 1-tech, for those of you guys who don't know, like your job is you have to fight those off. You have to, split those. You have to play with hands. If you're getting washed out of the gap, that's playing right into. They're almost like playing wedge football in a sense, and they're okay with 3, 4, 5 yards and just So I mean, it's not to poop on Neville, but it's a real deal. So Joe, it could be bad, man. It could definitely be bad. Joe, we kind of teased this early. Shout out to one of my best friends in the chat, Christian. Christian is somebody who I grew up with. I just want to give him a shout out. He was actually a good football player as well. One of my buddies. Everybody who watches us, man, we love y'all. We really, really do. Joe, we teased this one earlier, and this is why I love draft community. And it's the memes going around on Twitter when the Eagles drafted Carter, blah blah blah, and then we drafted the tight end and blah blah blah. Who, by the way, Joe, I've been looking into his injury history. I'm not happy with Schoonmaker's injury history. We'll talk about that. Hopefully, I just don't like when young players are injured early. He's already injured in camp, and it's like, oh, here we go. Can you
Yeah.
make it? Is your body hardened enough to make it through a camp? But we'll get to that. But then Eric Scott. So it was funny because every Cowboy fan in the nation, who's Eric Scott, can't even find film. They couldn't YouTube him. They didn't know anything. But it's like, again, guys, you guys aren't area scouts. I'm not even an area scout. I have decent access. Joe has decent access to film. We can get all 22, but these guys have more access than that.
Oh yeah.
And they knew something about Scott that we didn't. His athletic profile and his speed, right, Joe? The type of corner that Dan Quinn wants. But then I thought it was interesting that in OTAs and in rookie minicamp and through all these things, he's getting mentioned a lot, Joe. And he's going in over players like Nashawn Wright and like Kelvin Joseph. The truth of the matter is this. Those two ships have probably sailed, but we'll talk about it.
Hmm.
Anytime that Dallas goes out and gets a big name like Stephon Gilmore to shore up that other, because I tell you this, when you're a young player and you lose a team a game, you're out. Jacksonville game, Kelvin Joseph lost you that game. You can't get beat on a double move on a distance play. Just can't happen. And,
Yeah.
and I mean I forget the receiver, but it wasn't even like a guy. And your eyes are in the backfield. You're not playing your position correctly. The ship is out. Noah's Ark has left, and you weren't one of the two animals. So I think that Kelvin Joseph is out, guys. And all of the safety stuff and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Exactly.
Joe, that situation is tricky. So Nashawn Wright, Eric Scott, Kelvin Joseph, because Bland is in your plans in the future. Let's talk about those three, Joe.
Yeah, Bland. I mean, this guy has a knack for the ball. I think he's he's to me he's kind of like has that Jordan Lewis type of playmaking ability where he can take over a game with taking the ball away, which Jordan Lewis has done a couple of times here in his career. Just injuries have gotten the best of him recently, but Deron Bland I think is a player that's going to make an impact on the defense. And Eric Scott, like you said, he's definitely on the right trajectory. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about his work ethic. I think he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder going this late in the draft. So you got a lot of that going for him. And, Kelvin Joseph, I think he's just going to be a camp body right now. He too was on my bubble list right there with Neville Gallimore. So these guys, we're going to move him to safety. He played it in high school. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like high school, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, if they're trying this, they're desperate. I mean, they need bodies, right? You always need bodies because people get dinged up here and there. But I just don't think they trust him, man. I don't think they trust him.
Yeah, I think one of the problems with the whole safety thing is, like, I hate to say this, but like, if they're having to find a position for you, then you're probably not. Your stock is probably down, unfortunately.
And
Like,
that's been historically the truth in Dallas.
yeah,
It's been historic. I mean, Josh Ball.
yeah,
I mean, they did it with who was it? The guy who couldn't block the one arm bandit. I already forgot his name.
yeah.
These guys start moving him around.
Byron Jones.
Yeah. So I mean, the list goes on and on. So yeah, he's yeah.
Yeah. You got to manufacture.
I like El Maddox here. Izzy, the dark horse foots. I do like.
Yeah,
Izzy.
let's talk about it, Joe. Stay right there, Joe. How you feel?
I do like Izzy, man. I think that he showed something here at the last season, filling in. Making plays,
Yeah,
getting some takeaways. He like you said, he's a Dan Quinn kind of guy as well. He's got the length, the height. Really blocks off a big part of the field, which Dan Quinn talks about with these length guys. Puts a lot more pressure on the quarterback being more accurate. The window closes with these type of guys in coverage. So I think he has a serious play to push for a position here, more playing time.
yeah. I think the cool thing about Izzy is that you see a player that doesn't back down. Um, you see a player who he wanted to guard Debo. He wants to make tackles. I just think it's a matter of when it comes to Izzy, not if, it's when.
Mm-hmm.
Now I guess we're talking out of both sides of our mouth because it's like, we just said if they have to find a position, then they may not need you. But then it's like, well, Izzy is like, is he a corner? Is he a matchup guy? Is he a safety? But it's like he's good really in like certain roles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I really believe that Izzy could be safety slash big nickel, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
like big slots. That's like slim. That's like a skinny trend. Big slots. I think that he could really be a big nickel, moving forward. Um, and
Yeah. The
so
the the number 3 corner in the league that we're in, the passing league, you got to have a legit number 3 now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a spot for him definitely to be made here for him to get some more playing time.
The one thing about Izzy and um, the one thing about Izzy and Bland that I really love is how well they tackle. Um, Bland is an extremely good tackler. Like
Yeah.
like he'll hit you. And I think that's kind of that part where I think that they're gonna have to find ways to put him on the field. I think that Bland will play over Jordan Lewis. I think the Jordan Lewis ship has sailed too. He's just been hurt too much. And Jordan Lewis is a hell of a player. Like I don't think that he has the same issue as like Deshaun Wright and Kelvin. I don't think Kelvin Joseph or Deshaun Wright are that good of players. Just to be honest with you, like I think Deshaun Wright he's just limited because his twitch is so slow. Um, that with like you know with quicker receivers, he just can't do it. And then with Kelvin Joseph, I think the skill level was there. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a skilled player, but I don't think he puts the time in after practice. You could tell by the way he covers. And I just don't think that he really cares about football the same way as some of these other guys.
Yeah, you really got to put in your craft. It can't be number 2. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And that
yeah,
and that's for anybody's job. You got to go all in on what your career is, or else this you're gonna get replaced. So um, unfortunate, but I like what the Cowboys are doing by continuing to throw a bunch of
cover
darts,
themselves.
and I
Yeah,
think we're starting to see some of them land. They're starting to hit on the dartboard here with players like that, with the Ron Blands of the world, with Kwamu. Um, Eric Scott. I think a lot of people were kind of slept on Eric Scott just because of this is another Nushan, right? At the end of the draft, who the hell is this guy? This type of deal. So, but to see what he did in rookie and in minicamp, I mean, the arrow's going up for him. That's what you want to see, right? Like you mentioned, Foots. You don't want to see a guy coming out here off on injury, right off
yeah,
the jump here, like Schoonmaker. That's a
yeah,
bit of a red flag. You kind of look into his history, and he's got a shoulder here. He didn't play in a bowl game because of this and that, and I don't want injury guys. Oh, he's gonna be the guy to go over. I love Ferguson. I'm gonna say it right now. I
yeah.
think Ferguson is gonna ball out, bros.
Let's
I
let,
really
let's
do.
let, let's stay right there. Tight end one, Joe. You got Schoonmaker, you got Ferguson, and you have Hendershot. Now Hendershot fell out of favor with me towards the end of the year, and Ferguson just didn't get the opportunities because the truth of the matter is, Dalton Schultz. I was going to say Blake Charles. Dalton Schultz. Had Jason Witten not blocked his progress, I think Schultz would have been even better. I never
Yeah.
forget when we drafted Schultz. It's like I was like, okay, it's time for Witt to go. They're still running him out here 2-3 years later. It's like, oh my God, Dallas is gotta let him go. And that's kind of like the issue that I have with them and not really moving on from Tyron and not just diving in that water. But we'll get to that.
Hmm.
But when it comes to tight end one, Joe, you kind of hit it. Do you feel that this is Ferguson's job to lose?
It is, in my
Okay.
opinion, it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, we took Schoonmaker high, second round pick, but
Yeah.
just what you see in Ferguson and the rapport with your quarterback matters, and I really saw that between Dak and Ferguson, especially down as the year went on. You saw the progression, you saw the rapport. His hands, I think, are really good. He's got the soft hands. He can pluck the ball out. He can move the chains. So, we got to have people that block and this and
Yeah,
that. I
12
mean,
personnel.
yeah. So a lot's to be made about that. But at the end of the day, your tight end's got to make plays, and I think that Ferguson could be one of these type of next generation type of tight ends that's could be a playmaker for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, I think what's gonna happen is because I know how it goes with Dallas. You know, Schoonmaker, he's gonna start off camp in a boot. Just get ready. Oh, he's working it through. He's running. He's getting better. Oh, it's week 3. He's ready to practice. Well, by that point, you've already missed 2 weeks of practice. Now, I want to be wrong,
Yeah.
but I don't think that there's enough coaches and mentors who tell these young guys like, "Hey, man, you don't want to be missing too much time because there's going to be somebody, you know, who could possibly take your job." I mean, you're talking about, hey, if you're not ready, look at a Hunter Lukey who can do all of these things. I think that
Yeah.
Hunter Lukey is probably a better playmaker than all of the tight ends. And if you start using more fullback packages or certain things like that, maybe and I like Schoonmaker. I think that the Schoonmaker pick is really interesting because it has high risk, extremely high reward. You hear Schottenheimer say he can attack the seams. You hear the staff and Mike say, "Oh, he's an amazing blocker." And it shows up on film. He is a great blocker. He is. The problem is that I have is if he's already not, you know, he hasn't been pegged as like an extreme pass catching guy. And then he's not the most fleetest of foot. Now, that was some of the same issue with Kincaid. He had some injury situations as well.
Mhm.
But if he's already had that issue and then he's hurt now, that's a problem, Joe. That's a problem. And that's something that, and when you go back to the board, there were guys on the board that could have helped your team, you know? And so that'll be something that I'm really going to keep my eyes on. But I'm with you. I think that it's Ferguson's job to lose. Let's move on, Joe, here to this is going to be interesting, Joe. I want to talk swing tackle. I don't think that people have talked enough about that. Everybody's left guard and what should we do? Left guard, the whole nine. Joe, who's this team swing tackle?
The swing tackle is going to be is going to be determined in a training camp. I think that's
Yeah,
what you're going to find out because in mini camp they were looking at different guys moving them around, and a lot
a
of a
lot
lot
of
of
that.
people.
Yeah,
Some people kind of panicked about, oh no, I don't want to see that or this and that. So, I think once we get to training camp, it'll be revealed, who they want as your swing guy. Hopefully Steele's ready to go. If Steele's ready to go, he's your right tackle.
yeah,
Then the conversation becomes who's your left tackle, left guard. Um, so that conversation, Tyron Smith will be in the mix. The question is, how do you feel about? And you're hearing really good things about. Well, let's go.
I
And
was just about to
shout
bring
out
him
to
up.
my boy Foots because Foots
Yeah.
really loved him coming out of the Senior Bowl. I'll never forget it.
Mhm.
Foots really, really he put him on my radar when Foots talked about him. So well, let's go. They like what they see out of him. I think he's definitely leapfrog Josh Ball. Josh
I
Ball is,
think Balls is falling out of favor.
yeah, Josh Ball struggling. Um, wasn't drafted by these guys, and you know it's time to shine, bro. It's time to shine. So they definitely have a lot of bodies now, and I think you have some guys that could potentially be that swing tackle guy. I mean, Austin Richards. Is
Yeah,
he a
he's
guard? Is
another
he a
one.
tackle?
Yeah, yeah.
Is he one of these flex kind of guys that they're just going to kind of mentor and then eventually move him into a starting role? Same with Let's Go. But I think swing guy, probably Let's Go. If I had a gun to my head, Let's Go probably the swing tackle.
Ooh, Joe's bringing his fastball. Yeah, I think that Let's Go and Richards are the two names that I'm watching. And they need to put good tape on film in preseason, Joe. Both of those players, but I think that
Mhm.
they will. I think that if Walesko's healthy, just his length alone will get him out of Dodge. And I think with Richards, I think that Richards is actually a more physical player than people think, and that's why he's been considered at guard. I think that they're going to have Richards double duty, and wherever he's needed, that's where he'll fill in at.
Yeah.
Chuma Adoga is a player that, you know, like him, but I'm like, yeah, I've seen better. Film is cool. And Foots wants to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle. I always have. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to talk
Yep.
me into it because I just know what's coming down the pipe with Tyron Smith. Love him,
Right,
but
right.
we're just delaying the inevitable. So
Yep.
I'm not going to sit on here and cry for 20 minutes about that tackle position, but I do believe that, you're hurting yourself by not getting truthfully prepared for that. And so, Tyler Smith is a tackle. He's so much of a tackle that the Niners moved Bosa off of him a lot and moved him to Tyron Smith's side because Tyler Smith did a really good job on him. Had it offsides. I think he may have had like maybe one holding penalty, but it wasn't on uh, on Bosa. But for the most part, he held up well. And that's the best pass rusher in the league outside of Micah Parsons. So to me,
Yeah.
that's one where I'm just like, he's done a good enough job there. Keep him there. It's no, there's no need to fart around with it. All right, Joe, we have two more battles. Thank you guys so much for locking in with us. I know it's the day before July 4th. I know you guys are out with family. The fact that you guys made time to lock in through this with this podcast through this time is awesome. Remember, if you're playing this back, make sure that you guys send it around to people. I just dropped the album as well, Lemon Water. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm actually drinking lemon water right now. I went on a jog earlier, so little recovery. Joe, receiver 4, receiver 3.
Ooh.
This is going to be fire. Now, here's my thoughts, Joe. Me and you love Jalen Tolbert coming out.
Yeah.
Then it
Yeah.
was just
Definitely.
awful. Then it was
Yeah.
just awful.
Yeah.
We can't deny that. So we have to stay there. It was awful for Jalen Tolbert last year. Didn't know how to line up.
Yeah.
Didn't catch the ball. Didn't know spacing. It's almost like the lights were just extremely bright. But you heard him talking to Senior Bowl, Joe, and I think he owned it. What's up, JC Cowboys Network? Thank you so much for the super chat. So you know, couldn't he just got the yips, Joe? But he owned it, and you've seen and you've heard just how much work he's put in, right? Like just an amazing amount of work, right?
Yeah.
To the point to where it's like him and Dak already have a connection. He's catching touchdown now. This is OTAs, no rush, no none of that. But they truthfully said, okay, well, we know you're not going to be a 2. We're going to sign Brandon Cooks. It's 1 and 2 with Cooks and CD. So
No doubt.
that's not there's no battle there.
No.
Because
Yeah.
and
No
I'm here
doubt.
to tell y'all, like Brandon Cooks he may not be a top 10 receiver, but he's very top 15-ish, top 20 by far. And with a good quarterback like Dak, he's probably more top 10-ish. Top 15-ish. Still beat press coverage, can still beat zone. He can really hit it. So
And
and
an OC who can scheme him up.
an OC who can scheme him up. Talk about it, Joe. So, but anyway, now we're gonna talk about 3 and 4. Here's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Not only do I think that Jalen Tolbert will challenge and has locked in receiver 4, I think he may challenge Michael Gallup, Joe. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are this. Um, and honestly, we heard a lot of positive stuff about Tolbert, from minicamp, always turning heads, preseason. But then when the preseason games came on, you really didn't see him. Like, where was he? Did the lights get too big for him? And then, like you said, just didn't make any plays for us.
Right.
So he's got to show me, man. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
and from what I've heard and read, I think it's Fahoko for,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bottom of the roster here. So to me, Tolbert's really got to show out here in the
Mm-hmm.
preseason. He can't show up and say, "Oh, my hamstring, I'm not going to play." He's got to get his butt out there and make some plays, man.
Okay.
Point blank, because we got to answer that question. We got to know, man, because that like how you feel about linebackers, that's low key how I feel about wide receivers. I love what we have in CD Brooks, but you're still a little question mark on the other guys.
So you're good with CD and Cooks. Gallup, we don't know if he's fully healthy and if he can separate.
And he should be right, but
Yeah.
that's another one of these. should be. Let's see it
Yeah.
and really hold up because
Yeah.
he's been kind of this guy that's been dinged up through his career, a foot
Yes.
here, a knee here, that kind of deal. So
Yeah. That was a big talking point in the Niners game where him and Dak just aren't on the same page. And you know what, April, you're right. I am being ambitious. And Joe, that's why Joe's here to talk me back off the ledge. The Niners game, that was a big talking point, Joe. Oh, Gallup and Dak aren't on the same page. Well, why? To me, the comeback route, the ball should have never been thrown. Now, I don't know what the read is. I don't know if the ball had to be out. It looked like Dak came back to that read late, threw the ball, and it was a pick. Um, but the good thing is that CD's so good that he's entering. I think that if he has another good year, he's entering top 5 talks. So that's good.
oh, no doubt, no
Yeah,
doubt.
no doubt. So that's good. So if as long as like we're talking about receiver 4, and you have Semi over Fehoko, I mean Semi over Fehoko, you have Semi over Tolbert. That's the battle then, Joe. We need to just keep it there. That's the battle. Semi versus Tolbert. Right now, we can't say that he's past. We can't say that he's past Gallup. Maybe that's me thinking that. So what I'm thinking is this, Joe. It has Gallup. Does he have that twist that he had coming out of Colorado State, Joe? We don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
He hasn't had it in a while.
Yeah, if we don't see it this year, then he's damaged goods. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And you're playing with a damaged player who's basically a decoy. You know what I mean? So then you gotta have one of these guys that can step up and fill in on a critical third down conversion, somebody that can step up and make the play. So I'm with you though, Foots. I'm definitely pulling for Jalen Tolbert, third round pick. We love them coming out of Alabama State. So I mean, he's got the potential, man. But
like,
he's
and what does that look like, Joe? Like, what does your fourth receiver having a good year? Third receiver look like? Does that look like 500 yards, 4 touchdowns? Like, that's a
yeah,
great year.
yeah, no, that's what you want. You know what I mean? And if we're expecting this offense to be prolific like it's kind of been, we've been in the top 5, top 3 last couple of seasons. Um, but it's always when it comes to crunch time, we got to have the other player besides CD. Because if your good defensive corners in the playoffs, they're really, it's all chess. There's
Yeah,
no more checkers. You block out CD, we're in freaking trouble. So that's why they brought in Cooks.
yeah,
Hopefully Gallup is ready to rock and roll. And if some one of these young guys can come in, and if we can get a Miles Austin type of free
yeah,
agent somewhere soon,
yeah.
that would be icing on the cake, man.
Yeah, Joe, I think that's good stuff. All right, guys, we're gonna end it on this last battle, and this is one that I want your guys' thoughts in the chat box, and Joe, I want yours as well. We have 138 people the day before July 4th. That's awesome. Thank you guys for showing up. Make sure you guys send us around. Like, share, subscribe, get the likes up. We love you all. Okay, here we go, Joe. Running back 2,
Ooh.
which is more important than I think people are giving it credit for. Now, what does running back 2 look like? Well, Ezekiel Elliott had 237 touches last year, I believe. It was something like that. No, I'm sorry. I don't know how many. Zeke had a good amount of carries last year. It's like him and Pollard basically split. Okay. So we have to find a way. I forget his carries numbers. I wrote it down. But we have to find a way, Joe, to basically like suffice for that. Like, how do we manufacture those touches? Because I do believe that though Pollard is running back 1, they want to keep him at a certain number. One, because is Pollard the same Pollard after taking that punishment throughout the year? We don't know. The
Yeah.
tackle was a clunky, freaky tackle.
Mhm.
However, to be fair to Zeke, Zeke never got injured. I will give him that. Like, last of a dying breed, Ezekiel Elliott never got hurt, right? So
Yeah.
that's interesting, Joe. And Deuce Vaughn, Rojo is interesting for me because I'm just like, his last good year was like 2 years ago. He goes to Kansas City, couldn't even get on the field. I just don't know just how much they believe in him. And then Rico and Malik. Now, people will tell you that Rico was leading that battle before his injury, but he got injured.
Yeah.
and injuries are a real thing. So, Joe, take it away.
Yeah, it's another great discussion point for the offense, right? And this has kind of been my offseason thing is the defense. They're stacking the chips with just adding more talent, but I still feel that the offense didn't get the love that I really wanted out of this draft class.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I wanted the other running back. I wanted a receiver drafted a bit higher. You know what I mean? But
I love the running backs in this class too.
Yeah, so it is what it is. So I mean, they like their players, right? They always say that. So for me, it's Tony Pollard, and then outside of that, what does it look like? And you said it well here. Is it going to be a different? Are they going to look at the running game differently now that you have different backs here? Is it going to be? Do they still want to have the thunder and lightning dynamic? Where you have Thunder with Zeke, Lightning with Pollard. If that's the case, who are those guys? It's Lightning with Pollard. Who is the Thunder guy? At number two, if that's what they want to do, or do they want to, keep it really, fresh? Maybe do something new here. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see, where Ronald Jones lands on this thing. For me, you sign a player and you automatically say, I think he's a camp buddy kind of guy. Maybe to protect themselves from the draft. If they miss on a guy, at least to protect themselves with a vet. But they got Vaughn. But it's high expectations for just a really short running back,
Yeah.
rookie year. I mean, there's a lot of hype out there for him, and I think he'll contribute, but it's a tall order for him. You know what I mean? Pardon the pun. But it is going to be interesting to see, who they bring in here. And I think if they take these guys to preseason and you get it early into the season and it's not working out, trade time, baby. They might go out and pick somebody up who's on a final year of their rookie deal.
So let's talk about it, Joe. Let's dive a little deeper. Ezekiel Elliott, 231 carries last year, 800 yards, 12 touchdowns. Was definitely like your goal line back at a point. It is
Yeah,
what it is. And
definitely.
Tony, if he wasn't the starter, you knew that you got the best juice with Tony. Questions for me. Ronald Jones, I'm just out on Jones because
Mm,
I think that when you get to a point when I think he's just more like you're hoping that some one of these young guys takes it,
there
and
you go. Yeah,
and then Jones is just like a camp cut as well. You didn't pay him much. I think he was more like security.
yeah,
Like him, loved him out of USC, but Leonard Fournette took his position at Tampa. I mean, they both played well that year. They won a Super Bowl, but they leaned on Leonard Fournette in the playoffs.
oh yeah,
And then he couldn't get on the field in Kansas City. Now it's a different type of offense. Kansas City has different types of backs, but that also makes you wonder, well, why did Kansas City sign him? Maybe they saw something and he just got in there and just couldn't handle it. Cool. These are the wild cards for me, Joe, as we come right up on an hour. If Deuce Vaughn can handle NFL physicalness, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. And I say that because he's just so electric in space, Joe, that you're almost going to have to, I wouldn't say put in a package for him, but like make sure that he gets touches. Very
yeah,
Austin Eckler-esque. That the big if is if he can handle it. We've seen him though, Joe, against Power Five schools look really good. And that's where I'm just like, I think that he possibly can.
hmm, yeah,
Rico and Malik are different because I can't look at their game and say, what do they do special? I think that Malik is very Damian Pierce-esque. Who Damian Pierce had a really good rookie season
yeah,
with the Texans. Um, very Damian Pierce-esque, Joe, to where he physical, downhill runner, not the fastest, doesn't have a great hands, but can hold it down, right? And then, well, Rico, I just don't know enough. Preseason is going to be big for these running backs. Like they can't afford an injury.
right.
They can't afford to have missed holes or like not make anything happen or not create, or it'll be chop and block for them. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. Um, on Rico, it's been his durability
Yeah,
straight up. So the guys that I think are in contention are going to be obviously Pollard's your vet, Vaughn, Malik, and then where does where does Luke fit into this? Is he a halfback? Do they make him a tight end? What is his role in the running passing game? Is there a role for him? How deep do they go at running back? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who do you keep as a practice squad guy and try to sneak through practice squad waivers? So that type of deal. So Rico, he's passed through waivers year after year. I think he would again,
Yeah.
pass through again.
Nobody's
So
beating the door down for Rico,
and that's
except Cowboys fans.
that's just the injury with him. But those would be my three. If I had to pick a guy, pick the three to go in there.
And I want people to understand something. Yeah, the injury part is real, guys, because if you can't stay healthy, then you're probably not going to be around long. Unfortunately, Joe, like
Hmm.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
You play a physical position, but like, hey, we need you out there. We need you to be out there. You know what I mean? Like, and these training staffs, they'll baby you up until it's time to cut you. Then you're out of there. And so that part of keeping your body in shape and being able to be available, if Rico's constantly with the trainer, constantly with Brett Brown or whoever, then that's not a good sign, and that won't be a good sign for him. And then the wild card is Hunter Lupke, because to me, I think he's the best athlete out of all of these guys, um, not named Pollard. And I think that if he finds a role or a niche on his team, maybe third down, short yard packages, little leaks, play action stuff, then all bets are off with these other guys because and the I think the thing that people don't realize is that Mike McCarthy likes fullbacks. He's used fullbacks. He used John Kuhn for a long time. And Kuhn is a different type of player. I think that Lupke is a little bit more finesse than Kuhn, better hands, better athlete, but still, like, if you can find ways to use him how San Francisco uses Kyle Juszczyk, I think that's a weapon, right,
yeah.
Joe?
Well, definitely, that's another guy you got to worry about. Juszczyk, makes the Pro Bowl like almost every year. It seems like I had a
Pro
fullback,
Bowler.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, so the interesting about him is to get him on the team. Who does he make over the team? Do you take him over McEwen? I probably would.
Yeah.
So, what would his official role be? You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be interesting. Do they say yes, he's a fullback, or do they say he's a halfback, or do they say he's a tight end? So it's gonna be interesting to see. What? But to me, it doesn't even matter. Just give me the playmaker. Put him on the field.
Yeah. Now for we're gonna give you guys a full hour of content because we love you all and we're gonna push the limit. So for this last 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, well, excuse me, 5 minutes, I want to know, Joe, what defense versus offense battle are you looking at? I got this reply on my Twitter. I was like, this is good. So I'll go first. So for me, I'm looking at Mozzie Smith versus Travis Frederick and Tyler Biotish. I want to see how he goes because that's where he's going to be playing. I want to see how good he is versus people don't give Biotish the credit he deserves and how much better he's gotten to be like a smaller center. Like Tyler Biotish is a nice player. May not be a Pro Bowler, but like he's a nice player. So I want to see how good Mozzie looks in camp versus those guys. Is he getting stonewalled? Is there any movement? We know with Travis, we know what's with Zach Martin. It's just gonna be hard. Zach Martin may be the best guard to ever play football. I mean, dude.
He's a monster, bro.
He may be like the best guard that's ever played.
Like, they might have to make a freaking offensive lineman trophy MVP. And then they made after him. You're right. All pros.
Yeah,
Almost
like
every
7
year
of them. Yeah, like
out his rookie season. So it's incredible.
Change
bro.
the outlook of the franchise. You
Yeah,
remember it was him and Manziel.
him and
Change
Manziel.
the outlook of how we drafted.
Yeah,
Will McClay's first draft. You screw
yeah,
this up, Will. You're out of there. And what does he do? Kills it.
yeah.
So that's mine, Joe. What about you?
What I'm gonna look at is the wide receivers. You know what I mean? That's my main battle, and how they line up with the young cornerbacks, because our cornerbacks are young as well. You know, Bland's still year two,
Yeah.
Izzy, these guys, how they line up. Ferguson, I want to see the passing game. You know, how does it look? Because it seems like we always get these reports like, oh, they're getting shut down. Don't worry about it. No, I want to see them make plays against this defense. Don't give me this "don't worry about" crap.
Yeah.
So you might hear that. If you hear it, don't buy it. You know, there should be a little bit of an alarm going off. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
I do want to see them make plays against the defense. Don't give me that crap.
Yeah, nah, like for me, like, yeah, nah, I completely agree. And April's getting on me. Yeah, I said Travis Frederick. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, Zach Martin and Tyler Biotis. And yeah, that's like I want to see Jalen Tolbert and those guys. Man, like go at Diggs. You know, Diggs
Yeah,
is chippy. He's feisty.
let's
Like,
go.
and I love seeing CD and them go at each other. Like, do
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
This NFL. Talk your talk.
Yep.
Like talk your ish. Like talk it. Let's go.
That's what I
You know what I
want
mean?
to see.
I want to see CD and Gilmore.
Hmm.
Different type of corner than Diggs. Gilmore's more of a smart, bait you. He'll give you put some cheese out. You know what's crazy, Joe? I didn't realize this. I didn't realize that Gilmore was a defensive player of the year 3 years ago. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, he's definitely has credentials on his
Oh, he's a Hall
name
of Famer.
to get him as a fifth round pick. I mean, I kind of I like the model that the Cowboys did this year. Flip your fives because they've been whiffing in the draft with their fifth rounders. So just flip it for a vet who can help you. You know,
Whew, yeah, man. I completely agree. Um, I want to see those battles. The linebacker room, they don't tackle to the ground, so that won't be um
right?
battles like linebackers and oh, here's one, Joe. I want to see if there's any tackle that could consistently block Micah. Um that'll be like a good one.
Michael's
Um
when the word is thrown around a lot, right? Like elite. Oh, elite. No, Micah is elite.
dude.
He's your top 1% type of player. I think another one that we need to remember too, Foots,
Yo.
the kicker. All right,
Yeah,
uh,
man.
we got to
Yeah.
nail that down in training camp. You know what I mean? And that's a low key one that I want to see them nail it down. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that when it comes to that kicker situation, Joe, a lot of people are just like, "Oh, we'll be fine." Yeah, they we may not. I don't even want to think about it. Um, may have to just go for two. Just get your 2 point package ready. Just go for
I
two.
mean that's how it got in that game in Tampa. I was like, okay, thank God that we got we're mauling these guys because the kicker is missing chip points.
Two points. I'm glad you brought that Tampa game up. 2 points when it comes to the Tampa and the San Fran game. This is why you can't stat watch. Micah completely took those games over. By the way, didn't get sacks, but he sped that
Mm.
offense up so much in the way that he rushes
Yeah,
and just like how fast he was getting off the ball. It's just incredible.
he's incredible, bro. I mean, he's like, he's to
Yeah.
me, he's the face of the Cowboys. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Some say it's that. I think it's Micah, man. I think
not
he
even
is.
close.
He's what we want to be, just an elite team, and Micah is the face of that. So
He's charismatic. In order to be the face of a team, you got to be good. He's good. I think the thing that's underrated with Micah is how much he's taking care of his body now. Um, right, Joe? How much he's he wants to put on weight, and we were talking about that weight thing earlier. It's going to be good. But I think with Micah, he he's such a twitchy guy that I would just want to caution, make sure he doesn't lose much twitch. But I mean, the dude is incredible, bro. Like he's
yeah,
he's fun to watch, dude. Like when you just go back and watch his rushes outside of Philly, and see, this is what I try to explain to Philly fans and just Philly in general, and like Cowboys fans. What they did and what teams do is, and this is why you got to have a guy like Mozzie, and you need to have run stopping DNs, maybe Fahoko, Golston, who could play some 4 or 5 eye technique, 4 eye technique, the whole nine. Because what they did was they ran at Micah, which was smart, double teamed him a lot on the edge, reach blocked him a lot on the edge, and then they got the ball out quick. So not a lot of 3-step drops, chips. Make sure you put you get hands on them, all that type of stuff, because if you just let him rush, you're dead. I don't care. I mean, Lane Johnson's good, but like Michael will even get Lane Johnson eventually.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
You
I
know.
put line him up against anybody, man. He's gonna get his wins
Yeah. No,
and
totally,
and
Joe.
impact the game. That's what you need. You everybody's chasing that special kind of player. You gotta have them. And Cowboys, man, they hit it out the park with that one.
Yeah, it did.
You know?
Yeah, man. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody put a clap emoji. I don't have all the special effects. I think I'm gonna work on getting some of that. So when me and Joe go live again, we'll get all the special effects. Can you guys do me a favor and make sure you guys go follow Joe on Twitter, follow his YouTube channel. We got 136 people in here. You guys should be subscribing and following Joe. He is the GOAT. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. I saw Renee jumped in here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We love you guys because you guys make our job easier, and you guys have been with us for so long. If you haven't already, I have a project called Lemon Water. You could probably see it now by Foots and Coles. Make sure you guys go download the music. That means the world to me. Had a gig last night, been gigging, but I am so ready for football, Joe. Like, I'm ready for football, man. I'm ready. We got what, 28 more days, 24 more days.
We're in that final stretch, baby. July is training camp month, and we're in it.
Once we get past the week of the 4th, I start like, okay, we're good. We're in the clear. And then once we get to like the 20th, I'm like,
One,
yeah.
yeah. Once you get to the 20th, you can smell the freshly cut grass.
Hmm.
Let's go, bro. I love football, man. There's nothing better
Yeah.
than that.
We'll be getting a lot of, and so this is what is awesome too, because like we have one of the best teams, like Cowboys Nation, the Cowboys team, like with John Machota. He does an amazing job giving us like, looks, and so like video. And I actually had John Machota on the channel, so that was really good.
That was great,
Um,
bro. That was a hell of a show. I loved it, man. That was
Thank
good
you,
stuff.
bro. Yeah, man. Man. So just to be able to get, information from him and like those videos and that type of stuff, it'll be dope. But I think that this team, like Joe said, my outlook for this team, I know we were talking battles, but my outlook for this team, there are two teams you're chasing in the NFL, in the NFC. And there's one that's like on their heels, and that's like Seattle. Giants, they're still a ways away. The Saints are interesting with the better quarterback play because they have a good defense, like a really good defense. People don't understand that Saints defense is really well coached up. But it's Philly and San Francisco. Did you do enough to be able to beat those teams? I think last year, had Pollard not got hurt, you beat San Fran because you were able to stop for San Fran. San Fran couldn't score until the fourth quarter
Yeah,
consistently. They just couldn't move the ball at all at home. And in Philly, I think it's a toss up because you know that team, you know that division. The thing about Philly is they had no injuries last year. None. Like no major injuries. Dallas had a couple. So we'll see how it is. And we'll also see when they play a first place schedule, and you're playing quarterbacks that throw the ball, that test that secondary. They didn't play anybody last year for the most part who really tested that secondary, you know. So it'll be interesting, but I really like Dallas's prospects this year because I just think that they attack their needs hard, Joe, with Mozzie, with re-signing Hankins, re-signing LVE, and attacking that run defense part, and then bringing in Gilmore. That's scary, Joe. It is.
it's exciting, man. It's exciting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you're adding more pieces on the defense. It was already really good, and then you're getting your two guys like Bland, Sam Williams. These guys I think are going to be the next era of these type of rotational guys who make plays for you.
Mm-hmm.
Impact players year two. So
Mm-hmm.
the defense is only getting better. Offense to me, I'll have a better feel of the offense in the preseason. I got to see them play. I don't want them sitting players and this and that. I need to see the action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Man, what a show. Thank you guys so much. Can we get a fire emoji for Joe and class for Joe? Joe, we love you. Thank you, bro, for coming
Thank you.
on. If you want me to get on your channel this week, just let me know. No issues.
Absolutely, we'll do it. Thank you, everybody. Shout out to everybody in the chat box, man. We love doing these shows with you.
Yep. All right, Joe. For Joe Rodriguez, this is your boy Foots. Hey, listen, we love football and we're almost there. If y'all see me battling with Eagles fans, just jump in and throw a punch at them. I love it. It's your boy Foots. Peace.